Good morning and welcome to Daily Game Design. So I timed this incidentally really well because I'll have to cut it a few minutes short, but I do have a meeting with a student at 11. Today seems to be a very full and busy day. I had a slow morning. I got home pretty late from Valentino's Speakeasy. I wonder if any of my photos have uploaded. I'll show you just a little bit. Yeah. So here's our group from last night. Really nice time. We had about 45. And looks like it might be slow today. Nice spread of food. Pizza was very popular. And it's blurry. It just takes, yeah. But we had some decorations up and around. There were, actually I can show you a little bit more. Yeah, like Ming had this stuff from an, it was another Prohibition era speakeasy thing that he did, like a themed speakeasy. I don't know who made these, but these are cute little signs. What I was excited about is very early on, some people got up and did some dancing and then kind of circled back to that idea. We had this area at the end of the room that was actually very spacious and it worked pretty well. I jumped in a few times. We had a bunch of surprises out there. It's always nice. We had Rick and Madonna join us. It's always nice when they're back on the island. So overall, just had a really great time. Connected with some people for the first time. Anyway, great mix of old and new faces. Very good time. Just got home pretty late. Slept pretty late, I believe. Because I was just kind of tired after. Had some body aches. And even like this morning, for some reason, like my neck hurts. I've got a headache. So, I don't know. Maybe I was dehydrated. But we had these fancy drinks. So we had Latasha and Sai running this little dry bar with some mocktail options. It was awesome. It was just super good. And anyway, it's always great to see people getting to know each other, and yeah, I just love it. That's what we do. That's what we do it for, is so people can build connections. Yeah, I did attempt a kind of New York style accent. I introduced everybody, or I introduced myself as Seamus O'Sullivan, and made some early announcements in a kind of funny voice. And it was cool because we caught this fairly last minute. And that was that we could do a touch of world building for the murder mystery we're going to do a little later this year. So it worked out in a sense, even though we were kind of disappointed that we didn't get the murder mystery off the ground this time. I think it really, really, we just weren't ready for it. Figuring out food and everything, we weren't ready for it. We tried to push it. If a few pieces had come into place, I think we would still have had a nice time. But of course, with more time, we'll definitely be able to build out a really nice experience. And it was fun to be able to like hint at that, right? With the atmosphere and just a touch of storytelling, and world building at the start of the evening. Okay, so what I want to do here is show you where I'm at now. Because things have changed. So I did a playtest on Thursday that was a complete meltdown. I was playing with T, and it was just confusion everywhere. The turns were weird and confusing. And I just, yeah, it was actually good to see that the game got nowhere at all. And he was asking me questions, and I didn't really have good answers, and it was just chaotic. So, anyway, it was good to see that. I prefer, it didn't happen like that, but for whatever reason, the game the game was not a game. Like it didn't work. It didn't get anywhere. So better to see it sooner than later. So I just went, I really went back to the beginning. I've made a few commitments. I know I wanted dice, wanted cards, and let me put these away. So I do have a few things to do to update the prototype. And some decisions to make, actually. Because here I have these cards that have changed a fair amount. Now they're just really simple set collection. I imagine that this is still missing something, I think. Let's see, 6 through 9. So we're still missing something. As in, it's probably not quite... There's probably not enough to chew on yet in the game. And I think I have a few ideas for how that could change. But no concrete ideas yet. So I'm just exporting these cards. Then I'm going to make... since it's just 4 cards, I can just make the deck in TTS anyway. Little stream volatility. There's something I've noticed, and I've seen this now for a while, but I don't think I haven't understood it, and I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it, but there's some interesting dynamic with our events. And that is that, we come together, we have a really nice time. I just need four different cards here. We have like a super nice time, very sweet people, right? And we add a little bit of spectacle, right? We do some decorations, and we try to make the place look nice, and so I think we establish a pretty nice environment. Why? Oh, interesting. Why? I guess it thinks it's part of a deck. So maybe I do need to build the deck itself. So there's something in just like the nature of the people that come out to our events. I have not seen any social media posts except for mine. So like, is it a kind of cultural feature of just like, is it almost like, is it a kind of is it a self-selecting personality thing? As in, I've noticed this actually in other ways too, which I'll describe. But I do wonder if there is something to the idea that gamers, on average, are kind of less likely to be active on social media, less likely to post their faces on their... That was the other thing I've noticed. They're less likely to have their faces connected to their social media accounts. They are more likely to be on Discord and Reddit, which are which are much better for anonymity. Like, it's just really interesting. You know, for me, that's not really my world. I'm still not super comfortable with social media, but I think just because I'm like, for too long, not too long, but for most of my life, I thought selfies were so stupid. You know? So I think it was more like I didn't like the insincerity of it. I didn't like the performance of it. And there were probably other fears related to that too. But I just find it really interesting that that's just like typical somehow. Now, the obviously exceptions. I'm not trying to go that direction. Like, obviously, there are plenty of people that are not that way. They're very social, very, very present online. But it's just interesting. So the reason I'm thinking of this and talking about it right now is we had this event night. You know, there's a little bit of spectacle involved, right? We had good activities, great interaction, people having a great time, and nobody is posting about it on social media. At least not anybody that I'm connected to. And nobody, like, we're in this big Tabletop Oahu group. There might be reasons that they don't post in there when we do events, but like, it's very interesting. I can see the stream is struggling right now a little bit. Okay, I want to see if that was the right folder for these skill cards. So it's a really, like, kind of interesting puzzle where I feel like, what if this will do it? Yeah, this is like a rat's nest of files. Like, this is not good. There it is. So I think one of the reasons that we have a challenge growing is our social media presence and a kind of lack of, what is it, social validation or something like that. I feel like it's almost like when we do events, they never happened, right? Because only one or two of us are posting, and of course we don't have that great of a reach. So it's just fascinating to me. You know, so one thing we do need to do is, I think we need to incentivize it, and we're going to try to do that this time. I announced it. We weren't really ready for it. I wish I had been ready for it, but it's just really, like, it's a. I feel like it's an important realization for me that I kind of wish I thought about, knew about, and understood much earlier, that we really need a social media person first and foremost. And we need to find a way to encourage more people to, like, talk about what we do. You know, of course we can find more outlets ourselves. Yeah, looks like it's been rough this morning. One thing I'm not really sure about is distribution. We're talking about meeting tonight. Discord. Yeah, I'm having, like, super annoying, like, neck problems. It just felt like a burning in my pinky. I don't remember that before. Then I've got a couple hours. I've got work to do for class, and then I have a couple hours of music practice, at least 2 hours probably. And then I've got this meeting in the evening, so it's gonna be a lot today. Okay. Well, I can describe how things are different. These need to go away while we wait for things to load. There it is. So as you can see, it's open, right? It's everything's blank except for these columns. And so what's happening now, let me just make 5 of each. We'll start that way. Okay. So here's something I don't understand. It's how to think about the value of these cards and their distribution, and you'll see what I mean as I start to play. So these became simply set collection. So when you make this pattern and you have this card in your hand, and the thing is, I'm kind of getting rid of the incentives that pull people left or right. And it's just like if either of these shapes is on the board at the end of your turn, or when you stop, you can complete this skill and add it to your set. The other thing you can do is on your turn, instead, if you've rolled dice and you don't have a number you need, you can instead turn in one of these cards, like discard this card to adjust one of the dice. So that's how there's a little tug of war here. Do you want multi-use, dual use cards? Do you want to keep the card for its set, or do you want to turn it in for its die value? Now, 6s in this game are much more valuable than 3s. And one of the reasons for that is that 3s, the shape, gets you toward the goal of getting points at the end of the semester. But it doesn't mean it will that like the set is not as valuable. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how to evaluate the differences in like the value of the sets. So that's something I'll be thinking about. But here it is in a 4-player game. There's a funnel that's happening. So it's nice that it sort of encourages players to meet and move down the middle. So there's going to be more interaction. Maybe you'll remember that I had 5 columns and 4 ending like shore spots before. Where did the dice go? So everything here, I believe everything is simpler, smaller. Oh, I got an email back from Paul Solomon passing on the what's it called? Long Winter's Nap. Kim, then we'll give everybody 2. I think I need to be this guy. So everybody gets 2. Okay. Let's set these dice. So I think what I want to do here is make everything a 6. Because again, I'm abandoning the idea that there should be a reason to go left on the wave. So it's another blow to the theme, right? Because now, like, Kiwalos is a left-handed wave. But now I'm not representing that. So I told Kenna that, yeah, the game has changed a lot. And it has, but I mean, it's still, yeah, I don't know. Definitely much more abstract than it was, and it was already abstract. So I'm going to save this here. And then I want to transition, actually. So I'll talk through a few turns. I leaned into the push your luck, like big time. Oh, this should be 6s. Super big time. And so on your turn, and I actually wrote all this stuff in here. So roll. This is at the start of a wave. Actually, I put together this flow chart. So roll and then pick all of the dice of one value and place them in a legal spot, which is what this is. Heading towards shore. That's what this means. Now you can choose. You can either end your turn, or you can end your, like, the rolling part of your turn and just mark that last die. If you have a shape that's represented on one of your cards, you can discard. You can clean up. You can add those. You can add this card to the sets that you're building. Clean up your dice. I'll go through that in a second, and then end your turn. Okay, so that's if you want to end after you place your dice. However, you can continue. So he places the dice, then he goes back to 1 and rolls. But now you continue placing dice with the exception, the rule that the dice you choose, the value you choose, the dice you place, have to be lower than the unmarked die closest to the shore. That's a very awkward way to say you're basically building a little track of dice. You're building a line of dice that move toward the shore. And if you're pushing your luck, in other words, if you're pushing your luck, then the dice you place have to be equal to, it is equal to or lesser in value than the dice you placed before. You're still doing the same thing where you take all of the dice of one number. But like in this case, what you can see is that this player rolled a 5, 3, and 2 4s. The last die that was placed was a 6. He has no 6s. But anyway, if you were to roll again and rolled all 5s, right, then he would bust. So that's what's happening. Well, I'll show you an example right now. Okay, so the turn works like this. So roll your dice. Okay, we got a bunch of 5s. That's actually not bad. You'll see why in a second. So I'll just start. So you start on the 5s. All right, and this player actually got. What this player could do is discard a card to get 6 to get a 6, and then could actually discard both to create 2 6s. But that's fine. This player is going to just use these 3 like this, starting on the 5, right? If they had a 6, they would have started on the 6. And I'm playing a 4-player game, which means that all of this wave is available. Okay, so now the player can choose. Am I going to roll, or should I mark the die? If they decide to end their turn, they just mark their die like this and continue. But I think this player is going to roll. So ideally 5s is what would roll. Okay, so you have to place a die. And the 2 cards this player has doesn't help him, but here's what happens. So the player's going to end his turn. Now he can turn in a card. So notice that the shape is complete. So this player is going to add. I'll just do this. I'll just flip this card over and set it right here. So now the player has added that to the sets they're collecting. They clean up their dice, and that's the end of their turn. They refill. So let's say, I don't know if this is going to be good. Like, okay, now there are 3 3s. So the next player to fulfill a card is going to have to take a 3. Because I don't know if it's going to just be good to take as high of numbers as available. That won't feel like a real choice. That's why I want to get these numbers right. Or maybe add some more abilities or something like that. Okay, so that was yellow. So yellow took their turn, surfed down the wave that far. Let's go for red. Okay, red did get a couple of sixes. So sixes are pretty much always better. So there's not really a true choice. The choice comes in like in where to start the wave and what shapes you want to make. So you can start out here. The player could roll again, try to get some sixes. And there's 4 dice, so the odds are like kind of decent, but not great, right? I think let's have red be conservative. Okay, that's the end of their turn. Let's roll for purple. Okay, so purple will start with a 6, roll again. Okay, got a 6. So this is what you can do. It's just this player is going to make this shape, one of these shapes. So let's have purple push. Okay, so here's a case where you got to place you do need to place a die, and it has to be lower than, you know, than what's on the board already. Okay, interesting. So here are 2 4s. Now here's a decision. Are you going to and I'll show you how this is the thought process is gonna work out. So the player the player actually needs to place all of the 4s. Okay? So that's one option, is to place all the 4s. What happens in that case is that the player will then mark this final die, the die closest to, that's what this is meaning, the die closest to the shore, and then score this card. The way this scoring works is that they clean up their dice off of the board, and the lowest die is the number of points they gain. You know what? I never gave... Was it 5s? I never gave yellow its 5 points. So the choice is, do I take 4 points for this card? Or the other choice is, the alternative is, do I place a 3 here and then and mark it like this so that I get 5 points off of this card instead of 4? I think going closer to shore will be better. So I'm going to do that. And it's interesting because I'm squeezing yellow a little bit here. What's up, Francisco? What are you working on today? Okay, so this player's going to mark here. Turn in this card and clean up these dice. That's the end of their turn. So that was purple. Boss art. Cool. Okay, this player has 2 6s. So anyway, let's see. Okay, so this looks a little unfortunate. So the player could take these 3 3s and make good progress here and good progress down toward these high numbers, but then they're limited to rolling 1s and 2s. Got a blood slug I'm trying to rough out. That sounds scary. Okay, so instead, this player is going to start on the 5 and just jump in right behind everybody here. So rolling again, hoping to roll some 5s. Okay, there's one more. And this player would like to build this shape, so we'll just kind of get in red's way. Okay, so didn't roll a 5, but can place these 2 3s, mark, and turn in one of these cards for 3 points. So it's not a lot, but it's not nothing. Did I forget to pay out? Oh, it was a 4 for purple. That's what it was. How do you get ideas for your monsters? Okay, this player is also going to turn in this card for 3 points. So red has been the only conservative one so far. And the game just proceeds clockwise now. It's not like some weird like turn like a situation where, oh, you know what? I'm forgetting to add to players' hands. I'll just try coming in with the 3s. Okay. Pretty soon I want to transition to working on, like, I haven't looked at my rule book for ADRA HQ in a long time. I think we need to do that. Okay. We're back to yellow. Yellow's right here, so yellow. Here's an important detail. So because like from this mark, it doesn't matter what dice, what value this die is. Okay, so yeah, this could be kind of interesting. It doesn't matter what value this die is. It just matters where you start from. So you could have rolled all 6s and then headed down with 6s, even though it's a 2. Well, I think what I'm going to try to do here is rush down with 2s, and then blobs, since mechanically it's a boss that will only have arms and no legs that get attached to it. The blobs are a bit too ubiquitous tropey in dungeons, right? More interesting, but that didn't have legs. Right on. So it's more like so it's kind of like you're just you have mechanics available and you're just kind of cycling through like what's possible. So you have a monster with all arms, cool. Like what does that remind you of most? Or what does that evoke most? And it sounds like it's a blob type monster. All right, so this player is going to finish. So mark this wave. Does not have any shapes, but here's what happens now. So scores 6 plus 2 and then cleans up. If he'd had a shape, then he would have scored off of the card as well. So 6 plus 2, so 8 for yellow. And yellow cleans up. So what I don't know how to do at all yet is how to end the game. I have no idea. I thought it's like a first to some score with equal turns, but I feel like there's a runaway problem there. But anyway, so then this ticks down to 4, so it's suddenly less valuable. The other way I was thinking to end is when all of these they tick down to 1. So anyway, now to red. So red's been waiting for a while here. Okay, red has 6s. So, and red is trying to make this shape. Should red stop? Yeah, why not? So we'll take the 6s, makes this shape. Cleans up and takes 6 points. So that's a nice jump, is when you make a shape with all 6s. And then refills the hand. Let's say red just keeps going with the 3s. So that kind of means they're more of a pusher. They should be more of a pusher luck player, but they're not. So maybe that's not the right call. What normally ends a surfing tournament? Is it points? Well, this is still Party Wave, so the theming, it would be more like, oh, the sun goes down, right? Like this is kind of the end of the day. Just everybody's feeling good, having fun. I think I'm gonna come out this way actually. So there would be some other timer other than, actually tournaments, they have a time limit, and then you need to catch a wave within that time limit, like that window, and then just at some point the thing is over after some amount of time. Yeah, because you can imagine you just wait for forever for a good wave. So I'm gonna go 4s here because purple's gonna sneak in. Gonna try to sneak in, and purple can make a 4 if they need to. So hoping for a 4, hoping to roll a 4. Didn't get it. And this is the shape, so I think I'll just take the 3 actually. Okay, so here is a player who is scoring the shore die, the ending die, and a shape all at the same time. So mark this die, score 6 and 3, so scoring 9 off of that. So there's 1, 6, 9. And then also scoring a shape, and that shape is going to give them 4 points because that is the lowest number in the shape. It's a 4. So this one is gone. And let's say they're liking 4s. Okay, this gets cleaned up. Everything gets removed here. Now that goes down to a 4. Oh wait, purple gains 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does everyone always have 2 cards of shapes trying to do? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Once they complete a shape, then they just take a new card from the display. Like 2 seems okay. There's only 4 different types of cards too. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's only so many shapes you can make, so, or at least with these 4 cards. So I mean, you're just gonna make one shape at a time, and I don't know how many options you would want. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if 2 is good or what. So we'll drop this 6. So here's the thing. Could just make it with these 3s. What is this? This is a 3. Oh yeah. So since it's a 3 already, 1, 2, 3, the player can just run down. So blue, I don't know. It might actually not be worth it, but since he got all 3s and the card is going to score as a 3 anyway. Oh no, it's not. Wait a second. Now it would. Because it's 1 straight and then 1 to the left. Maybe the timer is whoever completes 4 cards the first thematically served enough for the day. I like that. Thematically, the cards are skills. So they're just on the wave doing like turns and stuff. So they're not waves. But I like the idea of a timer with cards. It could even be like when the cards run out. Like when you would add a card to the display, but there are none left. That could actually be interesting. Because there are only 4 cards left. The thing is, well, then that puts a lot of pressure on doing shapes, which is actually what I kind of like. Because shapes slow you down. So you have the tension between trying to rush down to the wave, like this player, right? Because the player could technically have gone out here. Could have gone out here, let's say. They can still only get one shape by the end. The thing is, I feel like there's such a spread in points, and like a player could be very demoralized if they are left behind. Well, right now players have only gathered 2 cards, and I was thinking this would be a set collection game. And so they're not really getting that many points off cards. I could adjust the values of their sets. I could do that. But anyway, okay, so let's end the wave. So he's going to get 3 plus 6, so 9 for this player. It's at 13, so we'll go up to 12. Plus 3. And then this goes away. This gets cleaned up. The only thing, it looks to me like most of the time, players are gonna like they empty out the board, like all these waves, like a set goes by, right? So like all the players, they take a set of waves, and then they all kind of reset, paddle back out, and go again. It's a little odd that red is over here. Okay, this also goes down to a 4. So red needs to finish a wave. Red has not yet. And yellow's about to start another wave. So there's definitely incentive to like push to get to the bottom. And now that these are all 4s, the other timer I thought was when they tick down. So the next time they tick down, they'll go to 2, and then after that they'd go to 1. And once all dice go down to 1, the thing is you're not required to go to any one of these. So a player could just go to the 1 over and over for no good reason, but they could do it. But anyway, I think the gameplay, there are things that are slightly unintuitive about it. Like that it doesn't matter what I roll right now. I can roll 6s, I can roll a bunch of 5s. I just restart. So this is, look at all these 4s. So I can just cruise down here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 4 4s to do this, but so the choice here is, do I just take a 5? Do I place a 5 and then roll again? Or rush with 4s? See, because nobody else is around. Oh, it's not even red's turn. It's yellow's turn. So we'll roll for yellow. And yellow rolls a 6, so the thing is, yellow could jump in here with a 4 and kind of scoop one of these 4s from red, but there's no real reason to do that, I think. So yellow can start back out here with a 6, roll again. 2 6s, it's good news. So yellow has a 6 already, so I think they're motivated to fulfill this 6 right here. Maybe this is how you're conceiving it already, and I'm just not seeing it visually. But maybe each card has a number of points you get based on when you did that skill. That is, if you do your first skill, it scores lowest. Then second skill scores 1. Oh, this is what I was going to do. This is what I was going to do. Because in a way, yes, that's similar to what I was thinking. But really what it is the more 6s you get, it's just like a Sushi Go dumplings. The more 6s you get, the more points you get off of the 6s. So that's one way I was going to do, like very, very basic vanilla set collection. The other thing I was going to do is for every set of all 4 different skills, you could score like 10 points or something. So at least try to incentivize diversity, but also give a lot of points for like getting good at a skill, right? Like practicing a skill. But yes, that is about right. Because here's one of the cards. So these are both 3s. So the player who gets 4 3s scores 5 points. Threes are not as valuable because they help you make progress toward the end of the wave faster because they have the 2 straight and then 1 turning. Fours do something similar, and they're slightly more valuable. So 4, well, it makes you turn first and then go straight. So maybe somebody will be in your way. They're more likely to be in your way in that case. Maybe. Anyway, and then 5s are this shape, which is very slow to get to the bottom. And 6s are this shape, also very slow to get to the bottom, right? Because it's forcing you to go very steeply to the left or right. And you score 18 points if you get 4 6s. That's my thinking there. So you're going to primarily, you would focus on doing the 6 skill to get a lot of points versus flying down to the shore to score shore dice. That's what I was thinking. But then if you collect a 3, 4, 5, and 6, then you would also score points like 10 points. But with this number of cards, it's there's not much time. Okay, so yellow will go off this way to try to score this 6. And roll once more. Why not? Yellow's feeling lucky. Okay, it doesn't work out great for yellow, but here is a 4, which is not horrible. It's just not great. So turn in this card, clean up this, and get 6 points because all of the dice in that shape are 6 points. Have 6 pips. So it's 13 to 19. And still plenty of wave to make another shape. Then refill. Only has 6s right now and 2 5s. So, I could just do 2 5s here. Or I could try to go wide and get to 4. I think I'll do that. Okay, now it's red's turn. And let's just say this was red's roll, the 4s, right? Because I already rolled for red. So I think I'm going to do this. Red can make one of these 3 shapes. Okay, and then just roll and hope for a 4. Okay, so this would technically be a bust because the dice have to be equal to or lesser than the 4 here. So they're 5s. So instead, this player discards a 3. I'll stick it over here. And makes the 5 a 3. That's the first time we've seen it. And so now finishes the wave. And in doing so, scores 7. So it's 6 plus 7 is 13. And then scores this card for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a healthy score. Everybody's pretty close, which is encouraging. And then cleans up off the wave. The thing that I'm noticing is there's very little interaction. Right? People are not blocking each other. They're not getting in the way. They're just having a nice time on the waves. I don't mind that, but it's definitely not as interactive as I would like. All right. You know what I actually need to do is I need to transition away. I do have a student I'm meeting with in about 8 minutes. And I was hoping to get to my rule book, but that's not going to happen today. Let's say that this was about 2/3 of the game or 3/4 of the game. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 to 40 minute game, I think should be good. But it still feels like it's missing something. It feels like, the surfboards are all the same. The set collection is not quite right. The pressures, the tension for which direction you would go and which shapes you would fulfill doesn't seem very relevant or present. And then, of course, there's the very little interaction. But it's far, far better as a game than it was a week ago. At least I think so. Like it's more streamlined, if not more intuitive. At least it's much simpler. And I think the push your luck is more salient. Let me know if you want me to try it with you. Yeah. Is there drafting and surfing? No, not really. But it is a party wave, so people are trying to. I wish people could share the wave. Yeah, no, there's not. That's not really an idea, but yeah, looking for something mechanical that gets players interested in being around each other would be good. Just not sure what that could be. The other thing is just knock off one of these, knock another die off, like of the shore. And a 4-player game now has 3 columns, so that would literally force players into the same space. But if everybody starts on, if they all take up the 6s, and then the 4th player rolls, they just don't have space for a 6. I don't know, that might be a little too in your face. But it's definitely an idea. Thanks for brainstorming. Yeah, would love for you to jump in and try it out. I'm just glad it's way less clunky. Even if it's not really there, I feel like it's less clunky. Moving a moving ramp. Are you talking about like an actual material ramp? Wow, I don't know what this is. I must be like super dehydrated. Everyone is trying to go for. Huh. I don't know if you mean something that acts like a funnel. That's what I was hoping would happen here. It would act like a funnel. But the thing is, you can clean up your waves so soon. Like you can do a whole turn, roll really well and just clean up, and now you're basically out of the way. You're just a single die left sitting here. And so it could be that you just can't clean up until the end of the wave. But that would mean getting more dice. And I don't need that. I don't want like Snake, like a player just like cuts everybody off and goes like this. Right on. I'll have a look at that in a second. Okay, but yeah, thanks for doing some brainstorming with me. Got this meeting in like 3 minutes, so I'll step away. The ramp moves laterally. There could be something. I really think the issue is related to how soon you can clean up. I feel like that might be the thing, because they're not leaving behind stuff that gets in the way. So I think the answer might be somewhere in related to that issue. But yeah, right now I can't see the way forward with a ramp, but at least it's fun to brainstorm broadly, and I think you do have a skill for that. Just like go wild, see what ideas spur other ideas. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, Francisco. Hope you have a productive day. I will talk to you soon. That's it for me. Bye bye for now.